Welcome to G's Backstage Pass. Today, my guest is Bahar Alexander. Welcome.
Thank you, G. It's such a delight to be here. I'm so super excited.
So, Bahar, you're a high performance coach, a speaker, and a storyteller. Who is Bahar?
That's a very good question. So often when we are asked who are we start with our profession. But to me, who I am is my essence. And I like to call
Hmm.
myself the catalyst,
Yes.
um, catalytic agent. So I
Yes.
help people bind who they are to their dreams.
Yeah.
I often refer to myself as a catalyst, and I think that describes what I do and who I am in the most profound way possible. I like to make things possible for people. So that's me. I'm a catalyst.
So, how was it growing up? You told me this story off camera, and I know our listeners want to hear this. How was it growing up, and how has that shaped your life?
Well, the name catalyst actually comes from that because
Hmm.
my formative years were spent in Iran, the country that I was born in. We call it Persia. It's kind of
Hmm.
like resisting the regime that is currently present there. But I was born right before the Persian Revolution, and times were tough. Times
Yeah.
were really tough. There was a lot of hardship around me. Not long after the Persian Revolution, there was the Iran-Iraq War, so there was a
Wow.
lot happening in the country. And, as a child, I was very inquisitive. I was always looking around me. I was very perceptive to what
Hmm.
was going on, to all the pain around me. And I just wanted to be this. I wanted to have this ability. I wanted to be this agent that could actually
Yes.
shift people's paradigms. I wanted to help people heal physically. I wanted to help people feel mentally better. So that's actually basically where it was born, that name. I had this intense innate urge to want to show up for people and help them live better lives and be pain free, basically, whether it is emotionally, mentally, or physically. And that's been the backdrop to everything that I do. It was my formative years, and it's been my personal development years as well.
Hmm. So you mentioned to me off camera about this story that just changed your life when you were like a teenager.
Yes. Yes. I'm so sorry, G. I think I have my notification on. You just heard it, right? Is it interrupting the I think it's interrupting
No,
our call,
it's
right?
okay.
No, it's okay.
It's okay. Yeah,
I'm so
everything's
sorry.
good. No worries.
What was your question again? I'm so sorry.
Oh, the accident that happened when you were a teenager and
Yes.
how that changed your life.
Yes. Well, my family and I, we left Iran when I was very young. So we were
Hmm.
refugees, basically. We were in a few countries in the Middle East. And then after that, we moved to the Netherlands. We
Hmm.
moved here when I was 14 years old. I actually turned 15 here in the Netherlands.
Hmm.
And it was in that very first year that a car accident completely changed the direction of my life. I
Oh,
was on
wow.
a bicycle crossing the street, and the car came at 100 kilometers an hour, and
Oh my
it
God.
just spun me in the air. And I crashed on the road about 10 meters uh, beyond the accident point,
Wow.
and
Wow.
major damage to my body. My nerves were severed on the left side on my left lower leg, the perineal nerve, which is
Uh-huh.
responsible for lifting your foot. So a lot of damage to my body. My neck was damaged. I was paralyzed on the left side of my body for 6 months.
Oh my God.
And the only thing I could do was move my eyes, basically. Everything else had such a shock to it. It wasn't just the left side, but
Wow.
the right side was suffering as well. And of course, there was so much damage done to the left side of my body that they had to do skin grafts and all sorts of
Oh
other
my
things
God.
to fix the side that was damaged so much. So 6 months I was completely without movement, and it took me 4.5 years to gain back the strength in my body to be able to get out of a wheelchair and be off canes. But the real essence of the story, G, is that when they told me what the prognosis was, they said I would never walk again.
Oh my
They said for the
God.
rest of your life, you're going to be on canes or a wheelchair. You'll need support for your legs. So it
Wow.
was very grim. And as a 15-year-old, you're told that story. You think, not me. well, some people would go the other direction and say, well, this is my life, I'm going to have to deal with it. But I
Right.
always had this rebellious energy and mindset of possibilities. I think it was very much because of my upbringing, because there was just a lot of hardship. You were always moving against the odds,
Right.
and a little bit of that innate rebellion that always thought, no, anything is possible in life. So I decided to take the matters into my own hands and not
Mhm.
accept the prognosis that was given to me. And I remember calling it my workplace. Every single night I would go there because there was no sleep. I had open
Wow.
wounds, oozing out infection. It was horrible.
Oof.
So I was in my workspace every single
Mhm.
night,
Mhm.
meditating about healing my body,
Mhm.
just healing my body back to wholeness by visualizing my nerve cells coming together, my body healing, running, walking again, and just doing all sorts of wonderful things with my body, even though they said it was not possible.
Wow.
And I always say that was really a pivotal moment in my life because I
Mhm.
had aspirations of becoming an Olympic athlete. I wanted to be a figure skater.
Right.
I wanted to go to the
Right.
Olympics. But this accident completely destroyed that dream. And instead of
Wow.
it, it created a new one that gave
Yeah.
rise to my passion for becoming a coach. It all started
Mm.
with wanting to heal my body. I'd had so many surgeries. I had autoimmune disease. I had all sorts of health complications. And I thought, how do I fix myself? How do I take care of myself? And at that age, all of my attention and interest went in studying biology,
Mm.
physiology,
Wow.
immunology,
Right.
and many years later, of course, it was functional medicine and epigenetics and all of that that got added
Mhm.
to it. But had it not been for that accident and being told that I was never going to be able to walk again, I don't
Wow.
think I would have been propelled to do what I have done in my life, becoming a coach. I've been a coach for more than 20 years and I've helped many people and I continue to do so, not because the gift was something, the pursuit was something given to me as a gift, but it was a labor of love. It was saving myself so I could save somebody else. And it's been a beautiful journey, G. It's been a really beautiful
Wow.
journey. Yeah.
Wow. That's incredible to overcome that period is incredible, but to overcome that at such a young age and really have that, create the direction of your
Yes.
whole life. And I'd love to talk about your program, the
Yes.
Alexander method. And I just love your message on your website of master your mind, master your life. And I love the visual you give on the website of the iceberg. I'd love to know more about, the Alexander method.
Yes, well, the Alexander method used to be called something else. It became the Alexander method just a few years ago because I've been in the business for a very long time. But I believe
Mhm.
in the power of reinvention. I'm always reinventing
Yes.
myself, I'm always
Yes.
learning, always expanding. And the Alexander method is really not something, that I invented per se, because
Mhm.
it's a
Mhm.
combination of so many different methodologies of creating high performance, being the
Mhm.
best version of yourself, creating a life of possibilities, creating a life by design. So it really is a holistic approach to coaching, no matter
Mhm.
what it is that you're coming for, whether you're an executive or an individual who wants to just has aspirations and wants to live a better life. You
Right.
come into the coaching process, and there is this holistic approach to making you the best version of yourself, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. And I don't take any of them lightly. So the
Right.
picture you see on the website of the
Yes.
iceberg, it really is a demonstration of what Alexander method represents.
Mhm.
Because when individuals come in and they want to improve, they want to create a shift in their lives, you can't just do that on a mental level, on the
Mhm.
conscious mental level. If it was that easy, everybody would be creating shifts. There is another
Right.
part to us, the subconscious mind, our programmings, our identifications that we create as children, that really run the show in a silent way in the backdrop of our minds. So when I talk about master your mind to master your life, I'm not just talking about the mind you and I are listening to this conversation with. I'm
Right.
talking about a mind that's kind of in the background saying, do I look good on camera? Oh, I hope I don't sound stupid. All of those voices of doubt, or this voice that says, no matter what the world wants to throw at me, I'm formidable. I can go and make things happen for myself. So it's that under the water
Mhm.
creation that we've worked with all of
Right.
our lives. We've created all through our lives, and habits that we perpetuated, thoughts and identifications that we have solidified that can work in a positive way or in a negative way. And the more we know about it, the less obstacles we will face in life. So the Alexander method really goes to the root of who we are. I work with subconscious reprogramming to help
Mhm.
individuals create stronger, healthier self-esteem and self-confidence, the ability to see the world with a positivity filter rather than a
Yes.
negative bias. So
Right.
that's what the Alexander method represents. And whether I'm working with an individual or working with an organization, the
Mhm.
essence is the same. It's bringing you to high performance. It's creating a transformational shift in your
Yes.
life or in the organization by addressing culture and vulnerability and
Mhm.
authenticity and energy management and all of those wonderful things that I get to work with as a, as an organizational coach as well. It's really great.
So I really love this visual. I think I think there's really a lot of power in visuals. The iceberg is the perfect visual because what's out of the water is what the audience sees, what the
Yes,
public sees, right? I saw this with all the
absolutely.
different bands I'm working with and stuff. What the public sees and what is really going on can be different. But
Yeah,
if you think about like with our technology nowadays and everything with social media, it's very easy to hide behind this facade of who
true.
we think we want people to think we are, right? But
Absolutely.
it takes a lot. And like you said, it's even the subconscious level. You've got to get to the root
Yes,
of the
absolutely.
whole iceberg. You gotta get to the very bottom of the iceberg before and then start building from there. So then
Absolutely.
when you get that comes out of the water, what the public sees is congruent and authentic to what's
Absolutely.
really below the water. I just love that analogy.
Thank
So
you. Thank
and
you.
and that brings me up to like I think the thing that really makes people stand out is when they embrace their why, like why they do
Yeah.
what they do. So, how did you know that this is what you wanted to do?
I like to, I really love answering this question because
Mhm.
I like to take it back to my childhood again and
Mhm.
talk about my very first experiences of being a coach. And it sounds really strange, but I knew I had to be a coach. I wanted to be a coach ever since I was 5 years old. Five,
Wow.
6 years old. My mom even talks about, incidents when I was 4 years old. The neighbors would come and knock on the door and borrow me. They wanted to borrow me. My mom would say, "What do you want to do with my daughter?" They say, "We just want to listen to her speak."
Wow.
So I love telling the story because it really is a gift. I came out
Mhm.
talking and I never stopped. And with the grace of God, I've managed to create a living out of it.
Yes.
But I
Yes.
had this intense desire to want to help people. I wanted to
Mhm.
help people feel better and do
Mhm.
better and accomplish more. And my speech was developed. I was making full sentences at year and a half already.
Oh, wow.
So
Wow.
it's a gift that was given to me, but what I have done is I've created a structure around it. It's not
Mhm.
enough to have innate talent. You have to know what to do with it. You have to develop it.
Yes.
And I have
Yes.
spent, although I knew it was, I didn't know what the name was going to be. I thought it was a psychotherapist. I thought I was going to be a psychotherapist, but I knew that it had to do something with talking to people,
Mhm.
listening to people's stories, giving them advice, and just sharing wisdom. It was it was the essence was there, but I had to go through my life advancing it because just speaking is not influencing. You have to
Right.
understand how to really engage people, how to relate to people, how to be empathetic, how to
Mhm.
understand people on a fundamental level. Because what I do through my coaching is intense. Gee, I
Yes.
always tell people I put you through a slingshot effect. And what does
A
that mean?
slingshot effect. Ooh, okay.
Slingshot
Okay.
effect. I pull
Do
them
tell.
back.
Do
I pull
tell.
them back as far as I can, only to let go and propel them forward into their future. But
Wow.
to be able to go back, you need
Yeah.
to be able to trust. You need to be able
Yes.
to feel safe. And I have
Yes.
spent my entire career working on developing the ability to connect to people on a level that they never ever feel psychological lack of psychological safety. There is no judgment, there is full understanding, and there's a skill set that comes with it as well. So I can help people in vulnerability be pulled back into that state
Mm-hmm.
far beyond their capacity and just release and let them propel into their future. So the slingshot effect is something I, talk about in every single coaching session because people really need to know what they have to go through. It's intense. It's intense. It's not for the faint-hearted, but
Right.
every single client that goes through it understands the essence of it and they're happy to have done it.
Well, I really can relate to what you're saying about the coaching being intense and like this is like a serious thing. I think there's a misperception and it might just be in the way things are presented, but that
Yeah,
okay, you sign up for this coaching program for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, and okay, I'm all fixed, I'm ready to go, and everything's good. And it goes back to the iceberg, like that
yeah.
iceberg didn't grow overnight,
No,
right? The
exactly.
like we talked off camera about, my partner Sandy, and she had a fear of public speaking from
Yeah.
since she was 5 years old because of something that happened in kindergarten. And that
Yes.
grew, that fear, and that just grew and grew and grew and grew into our age now, till recently. And I think it's so important what you're saying, that you really have to get to the root
Yes.
of what it is. And that might be looking back and conscious or subconscious, going back to when we
Absolutely.
were that 5 or 6 years old. Like at 5 years old, you knew this is what you wanted to do.
Absolutely.
At five,
Absolutely.
go ahead.
No, and you're absolutely right because it is related to our childhoods. Those sorts of limitations in our adult lives, they have to do with identifications we've created
Mm-hmm.
for ourselves because a child doesn't have rational thinking. We give
Right.
things meaning. You come home, your father comes home, and you run to him to the front door, and he's
Mm-hmm.
tired, and he says to you, "Not now, honey." And you think, oh, I'm not important, I'm not significant, and then you create this sensation of not enoughness, not
Right.
significant enoughness as you go through life. And it can take one incident, four incidents, but that repetition of energy inside of us,
Yes.
and we give it meaning as a child, and then we
Mm-hmm.
look for it in our outside world, right? So we go through life, we go to school, the teacher doesn't notice us, see, I'm not significant. Kids don't want to
Right.
play with us, see, I'm not significant. So we start going through life with this notion, with this judgment that we have of ourselves, and we go into the world looking for evidence of it.
Right.
We perpetuate it, in the early youth, then early school years, adolescence, teenage years, the early adulthood, and you just repeat it all the way through 40s, 50s. Some of my clients come to me when they're in their 60s and they're still suffering
Mm-hmm.
from some of those identifications.
These ideas get planted, and then like you
Yeah,
said, they just grow and they just compound. So let's talk about, working with different clients. Out of what are like three qualities that you look for when you're working with a client?
I love that question, G, because
Thanks.
I am not prejudiced about who finds me.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone who finds me is the suitable client for me
Mm-hmm.
because I don't go out there looking for them. They look for me and they find me. So when they
Right.
make, by the time they make their way to me, I know they're
Mm-hmm.
ready for my coaching. And of course, I
Nice.
do have a intake process just to gauge
Mm-hmm.
whether people are
Mm-hmm.
truly ready for this intense process, whether it is organization or an individual. And
Mm-hmm.
I have a category called the three C's.
Three C's.
The
Okay.
three C's. If you have the three C's, you're ready to come into my kind of coaching, to enroll into the Alexander method. The first C is curiosity.
Curiosity. Love
You
that.
need to be
Yes.
curious. You need to be really curious to find out what's going on and not be in the habit of making judgments about, oh, this is what's going on, then this must be the reason behind it. No, let's find out what's going on. So you got to be curious.
Mm-hmm.
The second C is courage.
Courage. Yes.
You got to have courage because if you're not courageous to go through that slingshot effect,
Mm-hmm.
then you're not going to be able to propel yourself forward. You have to pull back before you can move forward. And that takes
Wow.
courage. And sometimes you come
Yes.
face to face with all of these tendencies that you thought are not a part of you. You know, you see it in other people, but you think, oh, it's not my problem. I have some of the leaders who come into coaching. They say, yeah, my team doesn't communicate properly. They don't know how to give feedback or what have
Mhm.
you. And as we go through the coaching process, he finds out that he lacks communication himself.
Wow. Yeah.
So if you're not courageous
Yeah.
to go through that process, then it's going to be really, really difficult for you to really create shifts in your life.
Yes.
And that's something that I really emphasize on. And the last C, oh my gosh, it just skipped my mind, but it's courage, curiosity. I can't believe I just left it. I What's going on?
That's okay. I have a set list, or else I wouldn't be able to remember anything either. I like,
I
yeah.
know.
We talked about it off camera. Yeah,
We did.
curiosity and
Curiosity
courage and
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 clarity.
commitment. I think it was
Commitment, yes.
commitment. Yes.
Commitment, absolutely.
Yes.
I'm so caught up in our conversation. I'm actually my mind is
No, that's fine.
running
Well,
another scenario. But commitment, you have to be committed to your own
yes.
process.
Yes.
If you're not committed to the process, you're not going to be able to bring it to completion because a lot of the times, as you're going through the process, so your courage is being tested. Your
Mhm.
curiosity is being tested. And if your
Mhm.
commitment is not strong, you're not going to have a strong why to continue
Right.
because the commitment provides the strong why. And if that's
Right.
not there, then you're not going to be able to follow through because what gets you started is not what helps you finish. What gets you
Right.
started is a motivation, but what helps you finish is a sense of inspiration. Inspiration.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that requires true commitment.
I think that's where some people maybe because I think, like I said earlier, we live in a society where we get everything instant. We've got
Yes,
news and we put up a photo, a video. I mean, it's instant. We're as this generation and even us older, Gen X generation, we're becoming programmed to have instant,
yes,
gratification over something. We put a post up, we get a like immediately. But
true.
when it comes to coaching and changing your life, you got to realize that it took 20 years to implant all these ideas and to create this, the
Process.
reality that
Yeah,
you have. It will take some time to really go back through and like we said, get to that bottom of the
absolutely.
iceberg. And that leads me to, I mean, yourself, you've been coaching in the business for 20 years. So I'd love to know any tips you have for coaches that maybe are starting out or coaches that are growing their business.
Yes. Well, coaches who are starting out, I would say really spend time in self reflection and self development.
Hmm.
I'm not talking about personal development, I'm talking about self development
What's the
because
difference in your mind?
the
In your
personal development is a hat you wear.
Okay. Okay.
Now I am a salesman. Now I'm a communicator. Now I'm this. Now I'm that. Now I'm a leader. Now I'm a husband.
Yep.
That's a personal development.
Okay.
But a self development is the person wearing the hat.
Ah, wow.
That's where our
Yes.
value system comes from. Our sense
Yes.
of self comes from. So, to anyone actually, whether you are starting out as a coach or starting out in any field of life, spend time in self development. Find
Mm.
out who you are. What is your unique message? What is your unique voice? Because let's just take the coaching industry. There are so many coaches out
Mhm.
there.
Mhm.
The industry is booming.
Yeah.
There are types of coaching you never even thought existed. But what
Mhm.
differentiates you from everybody else? It cannot be the message anymore to a great degree because, you know, personal development is personal development. Executive coaching
Right.
is executive coaching. But what is your style? Who are you? What is the unique message that you bring with you? And you can only answer those questions if you have truly spent time getting to know yourself,
Right.
understanding who you are and what is your unique voice, developing that. That's going
Right.
to be the ticket to success.
Right. And so what can coaches do to embrace their uniqueness and really stand out from others?
The this is a very tricky question you're asking because a lot of the times when we say what is my authentic voice, We
Mhm.
don't really know what the word authentic means.
Mm.
We think being authentic means being real. Well, I can be real with you, but not be in congruence with who I am inside. That's why I talk about developing a value system. What is your
Okay.
value system? For
Yep.
example, for me as a coach, it is absolutely crucial to create a non judgmental space. So,
Mhm.
politics is not a part of my coaching.
Mhm.
Religion is not a part of my coaching. I don't
Mhm.
mix all of these boxes that you can put people into my coaching. It's a non-judgmental, safe space for anyone to enter and be received.
Yes.
So that is my own unique way of creating space for people to really come in, be seen, heard, and understood, and get the coaching that they require and truly develop through their lives. But for somebody else, it may be that they have this very deep spiritual self and sense of self, and their message is best delivered through those methods. Then
Right.
you go do that. And,
Right.
so understanding who you are, what your value system is, what your essence is, will help you understand your unique message. And then you can develop your skills around that.
Mhm.
So that would be my advice. And just read a lot. A lot of the coaches think, okay, I've gone through a coaching program, I've done it for however long, I have my certificate, now I'm a coach. You
Right.
have to understand you're dealing with people. A piece,
Right.
a piece of paper, some information on paper is not going to help you become a great coach. You need to self develop.
Right.
So, reading and self educating is one of the most profound ways that any new coach or even a well established coach can advance themselves.
Yes, absolutely. And going on camera is a big part of promoting your brand and being a coach, or if you're an author or a creative entrepreneur, is that
Absolutely.
people need to know, like, and trust you. And with this technology nowadays, it really is becoming imperative that
Yes.
people go on camera. So, and I've seen your shows on LinkedIn and on IG, and I'd love to know any tips that you have for people that are going on camera. You told me off camera about this story when you had to get up and give a presentation. And I'd
Yes.
love for the audience to hear that.
Oh my gosh, that story, it always cracks me up because when I remember it, there's a little part of me that still feels like, oh, I wish I could save that little girl. But she did quite well. Yes, the story is that I was in high school. I was 17 years old,
Mhm.
and this was not long after the accident had happened. So it was probably one of the first times I was standing on a stage with just a cane in my hand, which was a
Mhm.
great feat for me. And I was wearing this beautiful blue suit, and I was a very good speaker. I was in the school newspaper, a
Mhm.
philosophy class, a debate class, all of that. So they thought I would be a great candidate to give the commencement speech. And I
Mhm.
was fully prepared. I love speaking as well, but this was the first time I was standing on a stage.
Right.
Standing on a stage with a cane in my hand and a blue suit. And it was, I was okay until they put the spotlight on me. And
Right.
all of a sudden, I couldn't speak anymore. I had
Oh,
this
wow.
brain fog. I didn't know what was happening. And the first sentence of my speech had something about forgetting and forgiving in there. And I kept
Mhm.
switching these two words around, and
Mhm.
I couldn't get past the first minute of the speech.
Wow.
And everybody was in shock. My family was devastated, and other people were laughing. And I remember
Oh,
standing there for a
man.
moment.
That's hard.
Yeah, it was tough. And I was sweating profusely. My blue suit had these watermarks under the
Oh,
arms,
no.
which,
Oh,
well,
no.
absolutely, I felt like melting into the floor, into the stage. But I
Oh,
remember
wow.
thinking in that moment, first of all, imagine everyone naked.
Oh, jeez. Oh, no. All right. Okay. Okay.
Because that made me laugh. It
Yeah.
changed my state.
Yes. Change
I
your
was
state. Yes.
Yes, because I was always very aware of my bodily symptoms, when what am I feeling? How I'm very aware of my body. I was always very aware of my body. I felt
Mhm.
nervous energy in my body and I could shift it. So
Okay.
I knew how to show up in the world and, be confident.
Mhm.
But now I was standing on a stage which was a brand new platform for me. And I
Yes.
distinctly knew that the way for me to change what's going on right now is to change
Mhm.
my state. I have to change
Yes.
my energy because I'm
Yes.
standing there in anxiety and I need to
Mhm.
laugh. I need to smile because these shoulders need to go down. My body needs to relax. And I
Mhm.
remember as soon as I started imagining everyone naked, of course I couldn't see them, but I started imagining as if they were naked.
Oh,
And I
jeez.
just started laughing, laughing really hard. And the anxiety just shifted because as
Yes.
you laugh, you also breathe. And when we're in
Yes.
anxiety, we're not breathing anymore.
Yes.
So, there are many ways of preparing yourself for the camera. I think number one is
Mhm.
creating a dialogue as
Yes.
if you're talking to a person. So when I'm on
Yes.
camera, I don't look at the camera as a camera. I look at the camera as if there was another individual on the other side.
Yes.
So I connect to the individual listening on the other side rather than just speaking to the
Mhm.
camera. So there was
Mhm.
less a staticness to it. There's more life to it. And the
Mhm.
second thing you want to do is you want to make sure that before you get started, that you just create a little bit of movement in your body. You do some deep breathing, you relax your body.
Mhm. Mhm.
Some people like to do a stretch, other people like to
Mhm.
meditate, whatever it is, as long as you get into an intentionality of it. So you say to yourself, I'm going to go and have a really good time. I'm going to be relaxed and do the best I possibly can. I'm going to bring positive energy with me because
Yes.
whether it is talking to a camera or walking into a room, it doesn't matter. Your intention sets the tone.
Yes.
So if you're setting an intention before you start going on camera
Mhm.
or speaking in a room, there is a great likelihood that your mind will follow because your mind cannot distinguish between a visualization and an actuality.
Right. The
You
Secret
visualize.
talks about that as
E
well. Yes.
Exactly, absolutely. They've done experiments with this,
Mhm.
with basketball players who had to improve their free throws. And, a group was practicing with a ball, and a group was told you're not allowed to touch a ball for 24 days. And just
Wow.
visualize it, just imagine it. This is a study out of Australia.
Uh-huh.
And after the 20 days, they were tested on their free throws.
Mhm.
The group that had practiced with a ball had 24% increase in their number of free throws.
Mhm.
The group that was visualizing and not touching a ball to 24 for 24 days had 23% improvement.
Wow.
23% improvement in
Wow.
not even touching
Not
a
even
ball.
touching the ball. Well,
No. So it's how you visualize your process and how you intend to go through your process has an effect on how you show up. And that's going to be the greatest tool people can develop for themselves.
yeah, I agree 100% because visualization really does play a key part. As you know, my touring experience for 25 years, these artists that go on stage,
Yes.
a lot of them are introverts. A lot of them get very
Yeah.
nervous. They're very quiet off stage, but they all have a process before they go out on stage. Some will do like physical warm-ups and they'll do push-ups and get jumping jacks and they're ready to go and then they hit the stage and they're on. Other ones go more internal and
Yeah.
they'll do meditation and they'll just sit there and they'll visualize and they'll play the show out in their mind like you said with the basketball players. So it really, if we look at when we go on camera, like you and I were just having a conversation today. We're not
Yeah.
focused on how many people are watching it or
No.
listening to it, but it's just having that connection to be able to connect with your audience. And that leads me to, it's rock star, and I want to talk
Yes.
about music now. And we had this conversation off camera. I love to know who is your favorite rock star.
I have so many, G. I'm almost worried about naming them because I don't want to leave anybody out. I have a lot,
Right,
but I have a
right.
few really favorite ones.
Okay.
I told you about Blondie, Debbie
Yes.
Harry. I mean, she's my
Yes.
absolute favorite,
Yes.
all-time favorite. I had a cassette with one of her songs on both sides, and I kept listening to that as I was growing up.
Yes. Cassettes.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. I just gave away my age, G.
I gave away my
Oh
age
no.
too. Yes. Okay. Yes.
But I love Bryan Adams.
Yes.
Absolutely love Bryan Adams. I have a lot of favorite songs from him. John Bon Jovi, one
Yep.
of my favorite bands. Absolutely
Yep.
amazing. Eric Clapton has to be one of my absolute favorites. And my favorite song of his is Change the World.
Yes.
I love that song
Yes.
because it also resonates with what it is that I do, what it
Yeah.
is that my mission is. I want to go into the world and change it because it takes one person, right? It takes
Right.
one catalytic agent to come into a mass and create
Right.
shift.
Right. So now, say someone's watching this video and they want to work with you. What's the best way to work with you? How can people reach out to you?
The very best way to reach me is via my website, which
Mm-hmm.
is thealexandermtd.com.
Mm-hmm.
Alexander, www.alexandermtd.com. That's the best way to reach me. But you can also find me on LinkedIn as Bahar
Mm-hmm.
Alexander, high performance coach, on
Mm-hmm.
Instagram as Bahar Alexander, and the Alexander Method is my
Yes.
the business page. I'm on YouTube
Yep.
as Bahar Alexander. I'm on Twitter. So
Yep.
look for my name and
Everywhere.
you'll find me. Yes.
Yes. So any like last, advice you want to give to some coaches that are out there, maybe like I said earlier about, they're wanting to grow their business. But I think with this one, like someone who's just they're right at the tip of that iceberg. They're right at that next level where it's just about to take off and there's one thing that maybe is holding them back. Is any like advice for someone who's just so close to get what they
Absolutely.
want?
I have one very powerful advice if they follow it, because you can get
Mhm.
caught up in all the gimmicks out there.
Yes.
So many coaches are overly fixated on marketing and
Mm.
not enough on their message.
Yes. Yes.
Too much focusing on marketing and not enough focus on their message and on their essence of their coaching, on the
Yes.
process of their coaching. I say focus a little bit more on developing your qualities and a little
Mhm.
bit less on the marketing. Allow yourself to grow first, because
Mhm.
what are you marketing?
Right.
Create your message first. Focus on your message first. Spend
Right.
more time on developing yourself than doing that. Wait with all of that marketing. Patience. Hold back a little bit. Create this slingshot effect for yourself.
Yes. Yes, because once you have your message like fine-tuned, then
Yes.
the marketing is literally
Takes care of
just
itself.
you putting the message out there.
Absolutely. You
And
market yourself by doing a good job.
and you don't have to follow trends and do what everybody else is doing. Just
No,
really tap into being your authentic self. Yeah.
exactly.
Wow, this
Exactly.
this was so much fun. Thank you, Bahar. Thank you for
Thank
taking time
you.
today. I'm so happy you could come
It
on
was
the show.
my pleasure. Absolutely, G. This was so much fun, and I love this background. By the way, I
Thank
feel
you.
like a rock star today.
Awesome. So, yes, learn more about Bahar and the Alexander method at alexandermtd.com. Also, follow her on Instagram and on LinkedIn. That's how we connected through LinkedIn. And I
Yes,
just got to say, I think if people are not really networking and reaching out to people and really showing who they are on LinkedIn, I think they're missing out. I just love all the
absolutely.
posts you do on LinkedIn.
Ah,
So,
thank
yeah.
you so much. I really appreciate it, G. And thank you for creating a platform for us coaches to get on and introduce themselves and try to make the world a better place. Thank you for doing
Perfect.
what you do.
Thank you so much. All right.
Absolutely. Have a
Until
great
next
evening.
time.
Yes.
Cheers.
Bye bye. Bye bye.
Cheers.